Hi everyone, it's Lori. Thanks for joining me. Today I have a little bit of a different kind of video for you. I thought I would share with you how I have sort of stopped the crafting chaos by finding my crafting style. And by that I mean the crafting hoarding and the constant buying and buying things that I'm not necessarily using, buying things that don't really work with my style. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit how I kind of have started to filter through some of that stuff and keep it from just adding up. And I keep moving my craft room to a bigger space, and I don't want to do that anymore. I'm really trying to downsize and streamline it. And so I wanted to share my process. And I think the key to not hoarding is to buy things that fit your style. And so I'm going to start with how to figure out what your crafting style is if you don't know. And believe me, I don't have it all figured out. I'm starting to get familiar with my style, and I think crafting style is something that is always evolving. What you may like this year may not be necessarily what you like next year. But I do think you kind of develop a style that follows and flows through many of your projects. So the first thing I would recommend, and I'm going to flip you over here to my Pinterest page, and this is just a page that I have that I always pin all my projects that I put on blogs or YouTubes or anything. And I would like you to go through your projects, whether it's on your Pinterest board or your blog or wherever you keep, a log or a track of your projects. And if you haven't started a Pinterest board, I highly encourage you to do so, because it's a great way to go back and look at your work. But this page has many of my projects. Not all of them, but it has a lot of them. And when I scroll through this, I'm kind of looking at what are my favorite projects. There's some things I make that, yeah, they're okay, but they're not my favorite. Like, this is not my favorite. And that's not my favorite. But kind of go through your projects and figure out what are your favorite projects. Okay, so if I look through here, this was one of my favorite projects right here. And so is this. And so is this. So is this. So is this. What do these projects have in common? Here's some more. This was a really fun project that I did that I loved. But if you kind of just scroll through my boards, minus the holiday things, which are obviously what those have in common. But if you kind of scroll through my boards, do you notice anything in common? Most of my projects I have figured out that I like, the ones that I made that are really, I'm proud of and I think, I'm excited about. Most of those projects have commonalities. They are either soft pastels or muted colors or bright colors. I don't have a lot of projects with dark colors. I use a lot of pinks. I use a lot of silver and gold. I have a lot of layers in my projects. I have a lot of texture in my projects. And I mean, like, if you just look, if I could just stop right here, look, this project's got pink and gold, this project's got pink, soft pinks, soft pinks, soft pinks here, gold, soft muted mint color. So that is my style. My style is soft pastels. It is maybe bright colors. It's clean lines. You don't see me doing a lot of distressing on the edges. You don't see me doing a lot of vintage projects. You don't see me using a lot of Prima flowers. You don't see me using a lot of inks and stamping. And those are all things that I love. They're not something I do. It's not something that I'm great at. I see people make things with Prima flowers that make my jaw drop, but they just don't work for me. So that is the first step. Look at your projects, see what your favorite projects are, and find out what they have in common. And that, write those things down. That's part of your style. That's something you have developed. And then go start another board. And like, this is card inspiration. And I'm looking at all these cards that I've penned, and this is a pretty old board. I need to update this. But again, I'm looking at this board, and I'm looking at what is in common. What about these cards spoke to me? I can see what this one was. It's layered, it's pink, it's frilly. That's check, check, check. That's on my list. Some of these others I might have penned because I thought this banner idea was a cute idea. So, again, layers. I actually made a card based on this tag one time. Here's another one, right up my alley. Layers, buttons, pastel colors, pastel, another one. So between, what your projects are, and if you haven't crafted long enough to have a lot of projects to see what your favorites are, then look at other people whose crafts that you enjoy and study their work. What is it that you like about what they do? Is it that you like maybe you're more driven by texture. Maybe you're somebody that likes to have lace and ribbon and, mixed media, paints and gesso and stuff like that. Or maybe you're somebody who's more driven by color, or maybe you're driven by, patterns, or, you like things with birds, or you like things with bows, or you like things with stripes, or you like things with polka dots. Kind of go through and narrow those things down. So then once you have done that, when you go shopping, and you know that you're not a person who is going to make things with dark color papers, don't buy the dark color paper. And you're not a person who is going to use a bunch of inks and stamps. Don't buy those stamps just because they're cute. That's not to say that I never stamp, and it's not to say that I never ink the edges, and it's not to say that I never do a project with a flower on. But those are few and far between, and if I want to do that, I will go get what I need to do that one project. I don't need, for instance, the pom-poms came in. Everybody got excited about the pom-poms, so, you go out and you buy 4 or 5 pom-pom makers and all the different sizes, and you buy 5 or 6 different colors, skeins of yarn, and you make 6 pom-poms, and now you have all this yarn, all these pom-pom makers. This stuff is taking up space. And when you're filled with clutter and you're filled with things that don't inspire you to create, then it's very hard to sit down and start and know where to start because you have to go through so many things. When I start a project, the first thing I do is pull a pad of paper, because I've gone through my papers and I've gotten rid of the stuff that doesn't work for me. And I know my color palette. So most of my papers and embellishments go together now. So I can just pull some paper out and then I decide what I'm going to make. And another tip that I have for you, and I'm going to grab this, is I have this bucket on my desk. This is always on my desk. And when I get done creating something, and I have pieces left over, like this, I throw it in here. Or this is off of some Happy Mail that I got. Or I have little pieces of ephemera left out of a package. I throw them in this bucket. And because my projects and my papers and my themes, and I've kind of figured out what my style is, and I have kind of decluttered my room of the things that don't work in that color scheme, or in that, it doesn't have to be color, whatever drives you. I'm very driven by color, but things that don't work with it. So I have this bucket. And so when I'm working on a project, I just go through it and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll put this on here. So I end up using things that I wouldn't normally think of. So I highly recommend that. Another thing I recommend, and this is not really related to finding your style, is but I always have empty bowls on my desk, and I use these for trash. When you pull the sticky backs off of your foam tape, or you have, little pieces of things. I just throw them in there. That way I'm not accidentally throwing something away that I don't want to. But that's getting sidetracked. So go through your projects, go through other people's projects, study them. What is it about them that you like? Write it down. And then when you go to clean out your craft room or go to use your supplies and you are coming across things that don't really work in your style anymore, put them aside, put them in a box and get rid of them, donate them, sell them on eBay, swap them, whatever you want to do. Just get rid of the clutter, because I'm telling you, it will help you be able to sit down and create. Think about when you get excited to make something, what excites you about it? Is it because you got a new paper pad? What is it about those papers that excited you and made you want to create? I think back to when I very first started scrapbooking, and I would go out shopping and I would literally pick up things like roller skate stickers. And I didn't know anybody that roller skated, but they were on clearance. They were 75 cents. Gotta have them. There might be someday I want to roller skate and I want to scrapbook about it. Or I would buy, anything that was on clearance. It didn't matter what color it was. It didn't matter if it was scrapbooking. I bought it. I currently still hoard a few things. I have enough foam adhesive. If there is ever a world shortage of foam adhesive, I've got you all covered. But those are things that I know I'm going to use, so I haven't destashed that. I just found one that I really like, and so I stocked up on it. So believe me, I don't have it all figured out. I still have stuff upstairs in my old craft room that when I moved down, I moved only the things I loved. And I thought, if that stuff's still there in 6 months or a year, then I'm going to destash it if I haven't touched it. So I guess the long and the short of what I'm trying to say is declutter. Stop buying stuff that doesn't work for you. It doesn't work with your style. And, spend that time and that money surrounding yourself with things that you really enjoy. And I think that will help you all develop a style if you haven't already. It will help you create more easily because you're not so distracted by all the different things you got, different types of things you have around you. So I hope you found this helpful. Like I said, I'm no expert. I haven't gotten it all figured out. Please know that, your style evolves, your style changes, and just because you decide I like soft pastels and whatever, doesn't mean that you can't do a dark colored project. So, you can do whatever you want. But when you make the majority of your supplies work with your style, I think you'll find it much easier to get in your craft room and make some, great projects that you're really proud of. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.